let's be real for a moment. All of us know that Single Mom of War, a laundry, is gonna be effectively the end of the God of War franchise. This thing is gonna still sell millions of copies as its predecessors, but it is gonna sell severely less than previously expected. From the presentation to the fact that Alana Pierce somehow actually was an actual writer on this, which could still be a lie, which is the most hilarious part about this situation. God of War Laufey is gonna be an absolute disaster. This was not a choice done because people wanted it. This was not a choice done because it made sense. This was a choice done because activism. And everyone knows it. Almost no one can absolutely deny it. Even the most egregious stakes, like this article here, from Games Radar, one of the greatest cesspool of the universe, is even struggling to try and spin this as a positive narrative. And this is the most politically advanced thing you will see. Well, I say advanced, but in reality, it's obviously garbage that you're gonna see. Well, let's check what it is, okay? God of War Laufey proves women are still gaining ground in gaming, and I'm thrilled Kratos is sitting this one out because he's a emotionally unstable man-child. Yes, exactly the way we liked him, exactly the way that it made the franchise successful in the first place. Without that, you don't have God of War. Ragnarok was already a betrayal in many people's opinions. And it already, I think Ragnarok was when the sales started slipping, and this is gonna be the biggest slip ever. And by the way, this is by Sophie Ulanos, someone who literally made such great articles like 1348X Watto filled with potential. Yes, expect great things. Also, that's they them. The pronouns are they them because obviously they are, right? And also, why are you assuming things? Well, I feel you're assuming something. So am I. So am I. Oh, but that does not matter, you see. Okay? Let's get into this article because it's beautiful, okay? As everything. The start is already absolutely mind-boggling. I support women's wrongs. They don't exist because let's be real, you don't believe that women can be wrong. Rights and being beautiful and playable in video games. It's strange that you talk about beauty when we're talking about something like this also. Something that they intentionally uglified from the original one. But, to each their own, right? Surely it cannot get worse than literally the first sentence in the article, right? It can. It can. We're getting a new God of War game, and Kratos has a brand new look. He has long, luscious hair. Sad, sad. Hair and proficiency for magic, a slim, feminine build. Not exactly the most feminine build out there, but I mean, it's better than Marathon. You know what? It's better than Marathon, and even appears to have less lasered off his body link tattoo. Wait, hold on a moment. I'm getting reports that this is not Kratos, but in fact, Laufey, the giant. This late wife of the star god of war, his late wife and star of god of war Laufey. Yes, yes, yay. Yay. What a I mean, someone really tried. And I'm not saying all of this effort to write those stupid sentences was wasted, but it was. This is horrible, okay? Please quit being a writer and go to McDonald's and put the fries in the bag because this is just painful, okay? Jesus. This is a huge deal. God of War Kratos series Kratos could be perceived as an alpha male, although he contains far too much emotional intelligence and willingness to mature. That's because you ruin him. Kratos was never about emotional maturity. He was just a spiteful dude who wanted revenge, and that's it. Okay? We literally had abandoned your daughter mini games. Good times. Now we have to deal with boy, don't boy back boy garbage. But impact of shelving him in favor of a woman should not be taken for granted. By the way, they even call in Asmongold. Like, why? Streamer Asmongold took offense to God of War, starring a 43-year-old suburban mom. Now, I personally think he was pretty mild and tame by describing how bad this is. While Domino's Pizza UK Twitter account decided it wanted people to hate its pizza even more. I'm pretty sure this tweet made people actually appreciate Domino's. I don't have a Domino's in my country because we have standards. But, Domino's, the failing brand, at least is gaining something because of this. Look at that, 7.6 million views. I mean, obviously, you're kind of drooling over getting that. Decided it wanted people to hate its pizza even more and compared a lack of Kratos to a lack of pepperoni on a pizza. Santa Monica Studios didn't let the remarks slide, responding with a sarcastic thanks for the feedback, Domino's Pizza corporate account. They got absolutely destroyed because Santa Monica Studios, we have literally heard, I covered the people who made this game talk about the game. Spoiler alert, as all typical modern day millennial writers, they not at one point actually talked about the game and just about their feelings writing the game, which are very special, obviously, which is probably the reason why all of us hate them. Make it make sense. Playing as a woman in an action-adventure game or an RPG isn't unheard of. Yes, and I personally love it. My characters are always women. I prefer them. Some people don't, but in general, people don't typically care that much. The guys who literally for no will refuse to play a female character for no reason, they're not a giant majority. They're a pretty extensive minority, okay? And there are and I love it how every single time it's like, oh, you must hate women. Well, no. We just hate this woke garbage that you try to masquerade as a woman. And by the way, this was her previously. I think this was her, right? In any case, this is the comparison, okay? She was this was when the game almost made sense. Not exactly a supermodel, but likable and hotish. Definitely a woman, definitely a bit charming, likable. You can debate some smaller features here or there, but definitely likable. And now we have this. Yay! Ooh. You gotta appreciate the little things. And the little things are all evil. Where were we? Playing as a woman, blah blah blah. Lara Croft is a variable OG. The Last of Us has certified badass Ellie Williams. Ellie is garbage. Everyone hates her now. She literally was like, no, the circle of hatred ends now. Ugh. The Last of Us completely butchered it. Still, people still like Ellie. She is a reasonable character, but that's of course if you just ignore The Last of Us Part 2. Okay? And I'm surprised that this is not one of those people who is dumb enough to say, it's Ellie who made females viable in gaming. Not even close. Not even close. But this is probably someone who would have that type of opinion because everyone who glazes Ellie too much is just that their opinions are kind of weak most of the time. That's like a general rule. And while her gender is optional, Mass Effect's Captain Shepard is a beloved leader. Women in leading roles still face loud pushback from my journalists. I wonder why. But their vitriol is being ignored. Is it though? I think we're winning. I think the Chuds are winning and winning hard. In the last years alone, we've seen Atsu in Ghost of Yotei. You know, the flop that Sony now doesn't name and pretty much just constantly refers to Ghost of Yotei oh, not Ghost of Yotei, but Ghost of Tsushima for some reason. I wonder why. I wonder why. Also, Atsu is a horrible, hated character through and through. Grace Ashford in Resident Evil Requiem. I think no one's gonna. I think everyone's fine with the Resident Evil stuff. It's just the woke activists don't understand what's the problem with woke. Well, they did. Some of them do. Some of them are too stupid, and they always make it up to be like, oh, it's just women. Nope, nope, no. We love women. Women are great. A tiny mouse lady named Minnie in a recent indie hit, Minnie the Hollower. This is Hollow Knight too. This is fine. Again, no one hates her for some reason. It's really strange how that happens. And now Laufey will be leading her own God of War. It's very strange how it's it's a very stark contrast. For some strange reason, there's just some random female roles that are hated and some are not. Now, granted, I know what she's thinking. She's probably thinking people like us just wake up in the morning, we all roll the dice, and there's some kind of, mental space that all men share, and then we figure out by the collective dice rolls, which are gonna be randomly for no reason the hated void productions, and which we are gonna ignore or allow to exist. This is probably unironically what people like this believe. If I would have to take a guess. And now her turn, Chad. While women in gaming are medievally criticized for their looks based, the argument that Laufey isn't attractive is not only false but irrelevant. This is I love this part. It's the classic. You're wrong, but if in case you're right, it doesn't matter. Lovely. Don't you just love the weakness of opinions like this, the spinelessness? I wasn't aware that being attractive to a playable character was a requirement. Well, now you are. Time to level up, to enjoy a game. Because as a as of course she needs to mention a mention for which team she's not swinging. That would mean I forgot to hate the majority of the games I've played. The claim that Laufey is downgrade in terms of combat and strength is laughable. While she may have a different fighting style, we know God of War Ragnarok that a woman went toe to toe with Thor. Wow! Leaving behind a frozen lightning bolt as evidence of their real realm-shaking battle. Ooh! Things that happened but no one saw. Nice. The story being offered by Santa Monica Studios, everyone's favorite liar Alana Pierce, is also undeniably intriguing. No, it's not. This is gonna be probably. I think this is gonna be the worst story we have ever heard because these people don't know how to write, and their objective is the biggest, grandest story ever by tying up all the loose ends and plot holes that exist in the God of War franchise. They plan to do so, and that is a hard thing to do, even for competent people. And these people are far from competent. We know Laufey is Freya, and from the very start of God of War reboot, she's a wife and mother uh, who has recently passed the cause not revealed to the player, but her influence permeates through the first story, and she leads Kratos and Atreus to Jotun, the land of giants, so Atreus can learn who he really is. By the way, are we ever gonna actually talk about the bullshit that this is how far God of War has sunken? That the literal whole plot of a whole God of War game is finding myself, which is 100% based on only feminism in this case. Now we get to follow Laufey as she wakes up after her body was burned on the pyre, and she must fight through the afterlife of the gods every when to protect the journey laid out for Kratos and Atreus. And they're gonna what's gonna happen here, because this story is happening simultaneously as Ragnarok is. She is literally gonna be the embodiment. Behind every strong man, there's a woman pulling the strings. That's what this is gonna be. The only reason that Kratos and Atreus were successful is just because Freya made it so. She's gonna literally pull a fucking jailer from the Shadowlands here, boys. Mark my words. Anyway, Anyway, this is why you don't read games radar, kinda. Well, not kinda, literally why you should not. Anyway, have a nice day. Bye bye. Like the video, like it now. Takes less than a second and it helps the channel out greatly. Thank you. Bye.